Welcome to Beyond the Dark, where we plunge headfirst into the realms of the unexplained, the mysterious, and the extraordinary. I'm your host, Jay Rockwell, and together we'll navigate the shadowy corridors of ufology, explore the world of cryptids, and venture into the cosmic unknown. From extraterrestrial encounters to the secrets of the paranormal, we leave no stone unturned. Join me as we embark on a journey that transcends the boundaries of reality. Hello. From the low valleys of Ohio, I bid you a good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you happen to be in the globe right now. This is Jay Rockwell, and this is another installment of Beyond the Dark, where tonight we are going to dive into the topic of time travel and temporal anomalies. Last week was a good show, good turnout. Thank you for everyone who came by to check out the topic of the Bermuda Triangle. There was some really good intrigue in that story. Bermuda Triangle has a lot of good lore, and good lord. I enjoyed it. That was a bit corny. Okay. Remember, guys, BTD is now available on Deezer, TuneIn, Radio Public, Pandora, and Listen Notes. And as always, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and Amazon Music. I am having a bear of a time getting my show added to iTunes. And of course, statistics say that iTunes has the best exposure. Go figure. And I'm having trouble. I've always had a difficult relationship, I guess you could say, with Apple products in general. As I sip on my coffee. Any Mac users out there? Any Apple fans? I'm sure there's a ton. Got your iPhone, got your iPad, got your Mac Pro. Yeah, no. Not for me. Not for me. Anyways, remember, folks, that was a bit of a ramble. We got our Discord is open. We actually saw the entrance of a handful of new members over this past week, so that may be a sign that we are starting to catch on just a little bit. People coming through and wanting to check out the daily news bits and be a part of the community. Thank you and hello to all the new members who have joined this past week. Also, I am pushing the Facebook community page pretty heavy. We're almost at 80 followers. I post the daily news bits in there, at least 2 a day. The past week, you've been getting 3. There's some good stories out there, some good articles, some good stuff that you guys need to know. And I take those articles and I reword them to make them more easy to understand. A more simple, casual way to present the news. That is the whole point of my news bits. Not saying that people are dumb. It's just that sometimes when you're reading science news, it can get a bit wordy. And I try to eliminate that. Let me know if I do that a little bit of justice. Send me all your stories, experiences, encounters, and questions to beyondthedarkradio@outlook.com. I am looking forward to reading your stories on the air. I am looking forward to hearing about your experiences and encounters, and I am looking forward to answering all questions. Shoutouts to my coffee supporters. I start every morning with the freshest cup of coffee thanks to you, Michelle, Afros Animation, and Sky Eyes. We're going to get right into it, no messing around, hit that transition.
You are listening to Beyond the Dark with Jay Rockwell. And here's what's in the news.
Alright, folks, tune in and turn up the volume for a little science update on the airwaves. You've probably heard about bird flu, that pesky virus that's been causing quite the flutter around the globe. But what if I told you that we might be close to telling bird flu to flock off for good? Yeah, you heard that right. So, there's this group of science wizards who have been playing around with something called gene editing, and they've had a eureka moment. They just might have cracked the code to chicken armor, making our feathered friends immune to bird flu. Imagine that. Here's the lowdown. Bird flu's been ruffling feathers big time. Not just for the poor birds, but for our wallets too. The US alone saw 50 million birds give up the ghost to the virus in 2022. And just the first half of 2023 saw South Africa wave goodbye to 7 million cluckers. Wait, what? It's not just about the cash, though. This thing can make humans sick, too. Now, vaccines have been the go-to shield, but the virus is a slippery little critter, mutating faster than you can say chicken run, which means the vaccines can't always keep up. Plus, jabbing all those birds ain't easy or cheap. Enter gene editing. It's like a molecular GPS that goes straight to the genes and makes them bird flu proof. No more playing catch up with the virus. It's not just about playing defense, it's better for the birds too. Think less disease, more happy pecks. These scientists, they didn't just talk the talk, they walked the walk, using this fancy tool called CRISPR to tweak a protein in the chickens, and voila! These super chickens were strutting around, not getting sick, not spreading the bug. Even when they threw a virus party with a mega dose, half of the gene-edited squad were like, nah, we're good. But the plot thickens. The virus tried to pull a fast one, adapting and all. But the science crew has a plan B. A triple gene edit that could shut down the virus for good. Now they're cooking up the next gen of these superhero chickens, and if this goes the distance, we're talking about a game changer for farms, food, and keeping everyone healthy. So, stay tuned, keep your wings crossed, and who knows? The next time we do the chicken dance, it might just be a victory lap. Remember, folks, it's a big world out there, and we're just here to spread the good word, one radio wave at a time. Keep it locked right here for all the chillest news you can use. Stay cool, stay informed, and hey, let's give those scientists a round of applause for trying to make the world a safer roost for us all. Let's take a deep dive into a news piece that's both stirring and a bit hazy, quite literally. Over in India, the air's been thick with smog, but that's not clouding the spirits of cricket fans. The capital, Delhi, hit the top of the charts this week, but not for its music. It's been ranked as the world's most polluted major city. Now, you'd think that would put a damper on the Cricket World Cup excitement, but nope. The passion for the game is cutting through the fog like a hot knife through butter. Training sessions canceled by Bangladesh and Sri Lanka teams because of health concerns. But when game day came, the players and fans left their face masks behind. Arun Sakar, a local shopkeeper, decided to bring his young son to the stadium, saying he could have easily watched the match at home if he was worried about the smog. For him and many others, a day at the stadium is more than just a game. It's a statement. Outside the stadium, it's a festival atmosphere. Faces are getting painted with the Indian tricolor, and Sidkar made a point. Why cover up your pride with a mask? The pollution's a winter guest in Delhi, and according to him, it's not the worst they've seen. The sun did its bit too, cutting through the clouds, leaving a soft haze behind as the match played on. Sure, the air is still heavy with particles not so friendly to our health, but the fans are taking it in stride, with a mix of resignation and defiance. Sajid Shah, taking a break from his telecom job, sums it up pretty well. Living with pollution is just a part of life here. You can't let it keep you indoors all the time. But it's not all coughs and throat burns here. These are serious long-term effects to think about. Stuff like heart disease and lung cancer. And yet, the lure of the World Cup is strong. The average Delite could lose nearly 12 years of life because of the air they breathe. That's a sobering thought. Even so, you have folks like a 70-year-old Sandeep Rajesh, a retired civil servant, who's sticking to his masks, a habit he picked up during the pandemic. He's aware of the dangers, even if he admits that maybe sitting out for an 8-hour match isn't the best idea. Health experts are sounding the alarm bells, suggesting work from home and masks as the air quality dips to smoking 20 to 30 cigarettes a day levels. Wow, that's crazy. But as this World Cup shows, sometimes the heart rules the head, and for cricket fans in Delhi, it seems the game must go on, smog or clear skies. Stay tuned, and remember, while we love the game, let's not forget to love our lungs too. Keep it locked right here for more stories that matter. Alright, folks, lean in for a bit of science that's buzzing through the wires. You've heard of the rough and tumble world of diseases that leap from animals to humans? Well, there's a group of experts over at Ginkgo Bioworks who's been crunching the numbers, and they've got a forecast that's a bit of a thunderclap. They're telling us that by the time we're flipping the calendar to 2050, we could be seeing a dozen times more casualties from these zoonotic diseases. Yeah, those tricky bugs that jump from animals to us, than we did back in the good old day 2020. Now, they're not just pulling these numbers out of a hat. They've dived deep into the history books, looking at the trends from 1963 all the way to 2019. They've sifted through over 3,000 outbreaks and zeroed in on some real bad actors like Ebola and its nasty cousin Marburg, plus a few others like the Nipah and Machupo viruses. And here's a kicker. COVID-19 isn't even part of this equation. They're talking about other outbreaks that have flown a bit under the radar compared to our recent global headliner. Deaths from these diseases have been creeping up by about 9% each year. And if we don't hit the brakes on this, we're looking at a future where these spillover events and the deaths that come with them could quadruple in frequency and multiply by 12 in the death department. But hey, the experts reckon these numbers might even be on the conservative side. With climate change and shrinking forests stirring the pot, we could be in for more frequent rendezvous with these unwanted guests. So, what's the take-home message from the Brainy Bunch? It's time for some urgent action to keep this global health risk from blowing up. Keep your dials locked here for more on this and other stories that matter to you. And hey, don't forget to take a moment to appreciate the good health we've got right now. Stay tuned, stay informed, and let's keep it breezy. Get ready to tune your minds to the frequency of some out-of-this-world news coming from our celestial neighbor, Venus. Picture this. Venus, that blazing inferno of a planet we've all learned about, might just be holding secrets beneath its scorching surface. Believe it or not, a squad of brainy folks from Brown University is shaking up the space scene with a wild new theory. Venus may have been rocking and rolling with plate tectonics just like our home planet did in its youthful days. Now, I know what you're thinking. Venus? The same one with temps that could turn a pizza to charcoal in seconds? Yeah, that's the one. But it turns out, it wasn't always the solar system's sauna. This new study, fresh off the press from Nature Astronomy, is hinting that Venus had a past that could have been cozy for life, just like Earth. Here's the lowdown. Our Earth chills and thrives thanks to these massive slabs of land playing bumper cars beneath us, a party known as plate tectonics. These Earth shuffles are key to keeping our world's climate in check, like nature's thermostat. But Venus? It's like it went down a whole different cosmic path, trading in those plate tectonics for a stagnant surface hotter than a barbecue grill. But hold on to your space helmets, because the plot thickens. These smart cookies crunched numbers and ran models that show Venus might have had its own tectonic dance party over 4 billion years ago. That's right, 2 planets side by side, grooving with tectonic beats, possibly hosting the grand bash of life itself. And here's a twist. Earth might be the oddball for keeping the tectonic tunes playing. Venus could have had a tectonic switch off, suggesting planets might flip in and out of being cool spots for life instead of just being one-hit wonders. This is more than just space talk. It's a whole new way to peep into the past, not by digging in the dirt, but by sampling the air. Venus's atmosphere, thick with mystery, might just spill the beans on its ancient secrets. What's next, you ask? NASA's got missions lined up to dive into Venus's gassy skies, sniffing out clues. Meanwhile, the brains behind the study are pondering a cosmic cliffhanger. What made Venus's tectonics tap out? So, as we spin our news stories and go about our earthly days, let's keep an ear out for the cosmic whispers of our neighbor. It might just teach us a thing or two about our planet's fate and how to keep Earth from turning into a hot mess like Venus. That's your slice of space today, folks. Keep your eyes on the stars and your minds open to the wonders of the universe. Until next time, keep it chill. So, you know how we all grew up being told that fluoride in our water is like a dental superhero guarding against cavities? We're guards. It's been a slam dunk for public health since the 20th century, keeping our smiles bright and our teeth strong. But, get this. Some fresh off the press research is making waves by suggesting that maybe, just maybe, there's a flip side to this story. Now, don't spill your coffee just yet. For the most part, fluoride is still the good guy in our taps, as generations of studies have shown. However, it turns out that when fluoride levels go off the charts, it could be a different ballgame, especially for the kiddos. Researchers have been digging in rural Ethiopia, where the well water's got more fluoride than a dentist's stream, and they've found some puzzling links between these high fluoride levels and the brainy activities of children. They took a group of youngins, aged 5 to 14, and put them through some cognitive Olympics, including drawing tests and computerized memory challenges. And here's the kicker. The more fluoride in their water, the more hiccups they had in their tests. Now, before we jump to conclusions, the lead scientist, a certain Mr. Godibo from Tulane University, says we need to keep our lab coats on and do more digging. This study's just starting the line, and they're not passing the baton just yet on saying fluoride's the bad guy here. But it's definitely something to chew on, considering millions might be chugging down high fluoride water worldwide. So, while we're not turning our backs on fluoride just yet, science is keeping an eye out to make sure our health policies stay on the right track. Remember, folks, too much of a good thing can sometimes be, well, not so good. Stay tuned, stay curious, and hey, keep enjoying that H2O. Just maybe keep an eye on what's in it. Until next time, keep it cool and casual right here on your favorite chill podcast. You're listening to your favorite chill zone on the airwaves, and I have got a cosmic update for you. So, grab your cup of joe or tea, kick back, and let's talk interplanetary exploration. Did you know that NASA's very own Curiosity rover just marked 4,000 days of roaming the red dunes of Mars? Yeah, you heard me right. 4,000 Martian days since it touched down in the Gale crater back in the summer of 2012. And guess what? It's not just rolling around taking selfies. This rover is a full-blown space detective, drilling down into a Martian surface, scooping up its 39th rock sample to get to the bottom of this planet's mysterious past. Now, Curiosity is on a mission to figure out if Mars was ever a hangout spot for tiny microbes. It's been trekking up the slopes of Mount Sharp, a towering Martian peak with layers that tell tales of the planet's climate from eons ago. The latest bit of Mars is checking out a place they've dubbed Sequoia. Yeah, after those giant trees back in California. The hope is to unravel the story of Mars's evolving environment, especially when it started to lose its vacation-worthy waterfront properties to the sands of time. The brains at NASA's Jet Propulsion Lab are buzzing over the data Curiosity's sending back. Just imagine Mars, the once wet planet, turning into the dusty, rusted world we know, its water slipping away into the cosmos, and the rovers finding clues all along, like this mineral called starkeyite, telling us that Mars has been through some serious climate shifts. But hey, don't let Curiosity's age fool you. This rover's a trooper, nearly 20 miles on the odometer, braving the Martian freeze and dust storms, and it's still going strong. Sure, it's got a bit of a hiccup with one of its cameras, but the team back at home is working on it, giving it a little nudge to keep those stunning snapshots of the alien landscape coming. And get this, even when Mars plays hide and seek behind the sun come November, our rover friend won't be slacking. NASA's left a hefty to-do list, so when we're back in touch, it'll have plenty of stories to share. So there you have it, folks. While we're here savoring our earthly delights, Curiosity's out there, wheeling through the ages of Martian history. Stay tuned to this podcast for more updates from the final frontier. And remember, the universe has got wonders to share, one rover discovery at a time. Now, let's get back to the news that makes your soul soar to the stars. Keep it locked right here on Beyond the Dark. Glide into your seats and turn the volume up because I've got a tale that's sure to spark your curiosity. Picture this. Ancient Syria. 12,800 years back, our ancestors were minding their own hunter-gatherer business when, out of the blue, a comet fragment decides to crash the party with a bang. This wasn't just any old celestial fireworks show. It kick-started a revolution in agriculture. Now, an international team of brainy folks just dropped 4 new studies in Science Open, and they're connecting some wild dots. They've been digging into this thing called the Younger Dryas Impact Hypothesis. That's a fancy term for a chilly period that rolled in after the big boom in the sky. And it looks like this chilly phase had our ancient buddies switching from berry picking to barley planting. Here's a scoop. Abu Hurayya, a prehistoric settlement now snoozing underwater thanks to the Takba Dam, is an archaeological gold mine. Before it took the plunge, researchers bagged a treasure trove of seeds and plant remains, giving us the lowdown on what folks ate back then. Turns out, pre-impact, they munched on wild legumes and grains, with a side of wild fruits and berries. Post-impact, they had to get their hands dirty with some early farming because their foraging menu got a major trim. Fast forward 1,000 years and you've got what's known as the Fertile Crescent bursting with Neolithic founder crops like wheat, barley, and chickpeas. Oh, and the locals started getting savvy with drought-resistant plants, too, because the weather decided to throw them a curveball. And if you think it was just the plants feeling the heat, think again. The population took a hit, houses changed, and livestock pens popped up. Farming life became the new rock and roll. But wait, there's more! Abu Hurayya's got this layer of earth packed with clues of that crash. A sooty black mat with platinum, nanodiamonds, and melted gizmos that pointed to a heat wave no bonfire could ever match. We're talking a meltdown that splashed over cereals, buildings, and probably gave our ancestors quite the celestial scare. This wasn't just a local event either. From North to South America and over to Europe, similar signs have been found, telling us this comet fragment didn't play favorites. It was an equal opportunity disruptor. Now, you might be scratching your head thinking, but where's the crater? Here's the kicker. No crater needed. These smarty pants scientists compared the shock and awe of the comet's airburst to nuclear explosions and found some striking similarities. So there you have it, folks. When the universe decides to drop in unannounced, it can change the course of history. Or in this case, give agriculture a real shove. Stick around for more stories that make you glad we're living in the 21st century. Keep it cool, keep it cosmic, and as always, keep it tuned right here. Today, we're kicking it back with a stellar piece of news that's sure to twinkle the toes of the astronomy aficionados among us. So here's the cosmic scoop. We've just caught a glimpse of the oldest, most massive black hole yet, right from the cradle of the cosmos. This behemoth was spotted chilling in a galaxy nicknamed UHZ1, and get this, it dates back to a mere 470 million years post Big Bang. That's like the universe in diapers, my friends. Now, this isn't your garden variety cosmic find. We're talking about a supermassive black hole that's as hefty as the galaxy it calls home. The light from this ancient beastie has been cruising across the universe for 13.2 billion years before making its grand entrance to our telescopes. Talk about being fashionably late to the party. And it wasn't any old telescope that caught this sight. It took the tag team of the Chandra X-ray Observatory and the new kid on the block, the James Webb Space Telescope. Plus a little help from the quirky ways of relativity to spot this shadow lurking in the vast ocean of space-time. Here's the lowdown from the brainy bunch led by space whiz Akos Bogdan from the Harvard-Smithsonian Center for Astrophysics. They're saying this discovery is a big deal for understanding how supermassive black holes came to be. It's like finding a sapling that's set to grow into a galactic giant tree, bypassing the whole acorn stage. For reference, our very own Milky Way hosts a supermassive black hole that's a whopping 4.3 million times the mass of the Sun. And that's on the modest side. The big question has been how these cosmic monsters get so, well, monstrously big, especially so soon after the universe got started. The trick to uncovering these mysteries is to take a peep and make some smart guesses based on what we see. But it ain't easy. The cosmic dawn is not just a hop, skip, and a jump away. It's a journey back to a time when the universe was young and the light is so faint, it's like trying to spot the glow of a firefly in a rock concert. Enter the James Webb Space Telescope, the ultimate space detective, seeing the universe in shades of red. Yet, even Webb needed a boost. That came in the form of gravitational lens, a natural magnifying glass created by the gravity of a galaxy cluster called Abell 2744. This quirk gave us a fourfold zoom on UHZ1, allowing us to see the galaxy and the hungry black hole at its heart. From this, the team worked out that if this black hole's been eating at the cosmic buffet at full tilt, it's somewhere between 10 and 100 million times the mass of the Sun, pretty much matching the entire starry weight of the galaxy UHZ1. Usually, black holes are just a tiny slice of their galaxy's mass pie, but not this one. It's more like the black hole and the galaxy are twinsies in their baby pics, suggesting this black hole came from a heavyweight gas cloud collapse, not your average slow-mo snack time. Premyata Nachardaran from Yale is jazzed, saying it's like catching a black hole wearing its baby shoes, right before it outgrows them and leaves the galaxy's star mass in the cosmic dust. This doesn't mean the slow and steady black hole growth story is out, but for the young universe's trendsetters, it looks like a fast track from cloud to colossus is the way to go. And here's the kicker. We're just scratching the surface of what Mr. Webb and his space lens can unveil about the universe's youth. So stay tuned, because the Cosmic Dawn is just getting started with its surprises. That's your Cosmic Minute. Right here on the most chilled slice of the airwaves. Keep looking up, stay curious, and remember, the universe is vast, mysterious, and always ready to drop the next big bang of a story. Keep it locked here for more spacey tales on Beyond the Dark. And lastly, dear listeners, here's a sweet little scoop that's ripe for the picking. Imagine this. Strawberries, yes, those juicy red gems, could be more than just a delicious treat. They might just be the brain's new best friend, especially as we cruise through the years. So, there's this fresh study that's been making waves, and it's all about the magic that happens when middle aged folks who are a bit on the heavier side and not so chummy with insulin start munching on a cup of strawberries every day for 12 weeks. Guess what? They began to remember things better and felt less of the blues compared to the folks who didn't get their berry fix. Now, we know life can throw some curveballs, and with age, sometimes our noggin doesn't hit home runs like it used to. But these scientists, led by a chap named Robert Krikorian from the University of Cincinnati, think strawberries might just help our brains stay in the game longer. Here's a skinny. They rounded up a group of 30 adults, mostly ladies between 50 and 65, who were feeling a little foggy upstairs and had more love handles than they wanted. These folks were put on a berry ban for 2 weeks and then given a daily dose of either a strawberry-packed powder or a just-for-show placebo. After a little over 2 months, the Strawberry Squad showed up the placebo team in memory tests and were feeling sunnier with few down-in-the-dump days. It's like the strawberries help them filter out the mental junk mail. But before you go turning your diet into an all-strawberry buffet, the Science Squad says to pump the brakes. They're not sure if strawberries would do the same trick for everyone, and they're still trying to figure out if it's all about calming down brain inflammation. And hey, let's not forget about blueberries. They've been in the spotlight too, for giving a memory boost. It seems like berries are just brainy little wonders, packed with the good stuff that keeps the gears turning smoothly. So maybe there's something to this berry tale. While the researchers are still piecing the puzzle together, one thing's for sure. A balanced plate with a splash of strawberries could be a sweet deal for both your taste buds and your gray cells. And that's your very good news for the day. Keep it tuned right here for more stories to add a little flavor to your routine. Now, let's get back to the tunes that make your heart hum and your mind mellow. Stay fresh, stay cool, and maybe grab some strawberries on the way home. Your brain might thank you later. And that's it for the news. We're going to go ahead and take our first music break. Shoutouts to Mixkit.co who provide all the sounds and music that you hear right here on Beyond the Dark. Are you interested in getting your music out there? Do you want to have me help you promote at a free, yes, it does not cost a thing here, folks. Please send me your music to beyondthedarkradio@outlook.com. That's beyondthedarkradio@outlook.com. I'll catch you guys in just a moment.
You're listening to Beyond the Dark with Jay Rockwell.
night owls, and time travelers. Welcome back to Beyond the Dark, the radio refuge for the peculiar and the profound. I'm your host, Jay Rockwell, the voice that guides you through the twilight zone of the unexplained mysteries and the avant-garde of science. So, kick back, grab your favorite drink, and let's warp into a discussion that defies the very fabric of reality: time travel and temporal anomalies. Let's unwind the cosmic clock and talk about time, that relentless, ever-moving force that governs our lives from the very moment we're born until we say our last goodbyes. It's a concept so integral to our existence, yet it remains one of the universe's greatest enigmas. We're constantly racing against it, trying to find more of it, and dreaming about rewinding or fast-forwarding it. But what is time really? Is it simply the ticking hands on your wall clock, or is it something more profound? Our ancestors measured time by the position of the sun in the sky, the changing of seasons, and the phases of the moon. These celestial cues were their guideposts for agriculture, rituals, and the marking of epochs. Fast forward to the age of atomic clocks, where time is measured by the vibration of atoms, and we've become the masters of microseconds. Yet, despite our ability to measure time with impeccable precision, the fundamental essence of time remains a tantalizing mystery. In our everyday life, time seems absolute and universal, marching forward without a hint of flexibility. But that's not quite right. Our perception of time can vary dramatically based on our state of mind, our activities, and even our age. Think about it. A minute spent on a thrilling roller coaster zips by, while that same minute in a boring meeting stretches on like a bad dream. Children often feel like time is an endless treasure, while adults see it slipping through their fingers like grains of sand. This subjective experience of time challenges its portrayal as a rigid and relentless stream. And let's not forget those strange experiences that many claim to have had, where time seems to slow down during moments of intense fear or danger. It's as if, in times of dire need, our brain switches into a high-speed camera mode, capturing every detail with exquisite precision. And I can tell you firsthand, that rings true with me at least. I've been in one car accident in my life, knock on wood, where I was driving by myself going to work, and a car pulled out in front of me. And I veered, but I still hit the back quarter end of that car. And literally, I just can remember everything slowing down and seeing the pieces of debris fly up in my windshield, and how it was moving. It was like a movie, literally like a movie. It freaked me out. But that's just, a little piece of what it can do. There's also the phenomenon of deja vu, where time appears to fold in on itself, giving us the uncanny feeling that we've lived a moment before. Even our language reflects the complex relationship we have with time. We speak of time as if it were a currency. We save it, spend it, waste it, lose it. We personify it, cursing its passage when we're grieving and praising it when wounds heals. It's a companion and a thief, a healer and a judge. Our poets muse over its relentless march, our musicians lament and celebrate its passage, and our scientists build grand theories to explain its properties. Within the scientific community, time invites the most abstract of theories and the most intricate of equations. It's no longer a straight line, but a dimension, flexible and malleable. Relativity tells us that time can stretch and shrink, and modern physics teases us with particles that may move backward in time. We're learning that time may not be the universal constant we once thought it was. Einstein's theory of relativity didn't just revolutionize physics, it turned our understanding of time on its head. Before we dive into the deep end of the time-space continuum, let's set the stage with a little background. At the dawn of the 20th century, time was still considered absolute, an immutable stream that flowed at the same rate for everyone, everywhere. Then along came Albert Einstein, a patent clerk with an imagination that stretched beyond the cosmos. With his special and general theories of relativity, he proposed a universe where time and space are interwoven into a four-dimensional fabric aptly known as space-time. In this grand tapestry of the cosmos, massive objects like stars and planets create dips and curves, much like a bowling ball would on a trampoline. This warping effect is felt as gravity. But here's where it gets really interesting. These gravitational wells don't just attract objects, they bend time itself. The stronger the gravity, the slower time passes. This isn't just theoretical, it's observable and measurable, and it has profound implications for the concept of time travel. Imagine a spacecraft circling a supermassive black hole, just skirting the edge of the event horizon where the pull of gravity is monstrously strong. According to general relativity, time for the astronauts aboard that craft would crawl to a near standstill compared to the time on Earth. This phenomenon, known as gravitational time dilation, is at the very heart of the possibility of time travel to the future. It's no longer a question of if time travel is possible. Physics tells us it is. The real question is how and at what cost. But before you get too excited and start planning your time-hopping holiday, let's tackle some hard truths. Gravitational fields strong enough to cause significant time dilation are not exactly places you'd want to hang out. The nearest black holes are light years away, and venturing close to one is a one-way trip due to the extreme gravitational forces. Not to mention, we currently lack the technology to get us anywhere near a black hole, let alone navigate safely around one. There's also the question of practicality. Sure, if we could travel at near light speeds or hang out around the edges of black holes, we could theoretically leap forward in time. But this form of time travel seems to allow only for one-way trips into the future. What about coming back? The physics as we understand them don't provide an easy solution for return trips, which means any time traveler to the future might be stuck there. This brings us to the concept of wormholes. Hypothetical tunnels through space-time that could, in theory, link distant points in space and time. If these cosmic shortcuts exist and could be traversed, they might offer a path to the past as well as to the future. But here's the rub. Wormholes, if they exist, are likely to be microscopically tiny and unstable. To use one for time travel, you'd need to figure out a way to make it big enough and stable enough for a person to get through. That's a tall order, and it's where science currently draws a line between what's theoretically possible and what's practically achievable. And even if we manage all that, there's still the issue of causality, the cause and effect relationships that are the bedrock of all physical laws. Messing with the past could have unpredictable and potentially catastrophic effects on the present. It's enough to make your head spin, isn't it? Now, buckle up, dear listeners, as we cruise down the slippery slope of time travel's mind-boggling paradoxes. These aren't just the makings of a great science fiction. They're the very puzzles that have kept physicists and philosophers up at night. If you've ever fancied a trip through the annals of time, be warned. It's a highway riddled with potholes of logical and casual conundrums. First up, the grandfather paradox. It's the classic tale of temporal meddling. A time traveler goes back and accidentally prevents their grandfather from meeting their grandmother. The result? The time traveler is never born. But then, who went back in time to start with? It's a loop without a beginning or an end, the narrative equivalent of a snake eating its own tail. If the very act of time travel erases the traveler's existence, Could the travel have happened in the first place? This paradox highlights a fundamental issue with backward time travel: the potential to disrupt the causal chain of events that led to the present moment. Some theorists argue that nature would prevent such inconsistencies by closing off paths to any action that could lead to a paradox. A concept known as Novikov's self-consistency principle. In simple terms, if you tried to go back in time to change history, something would always stop you, ensuring that whatever happened to lead to the present would still happen. The cosmos, it seems, may be safeguarding its own autobiography. But let's not stop there. Imagine you travel back in time and teach Shakespeare everything he knows. You become the muse for his plays, the very words that have echoed through centuries. Then who truly wrote them? Did Shakespeare ever really create those works? Or are they a product of an infinite loop, a self-fulfilling prophecy birthed from the future? This is the bootstrap paradox, where an object or information's existence is self-originated, creating a closed cycle in time. There's also the idea of multiple timelines, or the many worlds interpretation, a concept borrowed from quantum mechanics. In this scenario, every decision spawns a new universe. So, if our time traveler were to go back and make a change, they'd simply create a branching timeline, a new reality where that change occurred. The original timeline remains untouched. It's an elegant solution that bypasses paradoxes but at the cost of simplicity. The universe becomes a vast and ever-expanding library of what-ifs, and our time traveler is not so much a temporal voyager as they are a cosmic tourist, hopping between alternate realities. Remember, we briefly touched a couple weeks ago on the multiverse. If your head isn't spinning yet, consider the predestination paradox, where a time traveler's actions in the past are actually part of the past all along. You set out on your time machine to stop a disastrous event, only to find out that your actions in the past were what caused the event in the first place. It's a deterministic view of the universe, one where free will takes a backseat to the fixed dance of cause and effect. Each of these paradoxes carries its own twists and turns, and they're a testament to the complexity of time travel. It's a labyrinth where every corridor could lead to a dead end, or worse, to a place where the very laws of logic start to unravel. As we leave the theoretical crossroads of paradoxes behind, let's peer into the murky waters of alleged real-world temporal anomalies, the kind that make you question the stability of our timeline. Across the globe and throughout history, there are tales that tickle the edges of the time travel concept. Stories of lost time, unexplained artifacts, and individuals who claim to have witnessed the impossible. Take the curious case of the Moberly Jourdain incident, a tale from the early 1900s where two women visiting the Palace of Versailles claimed to have slipped into the past, encountering figures they believed to be from the time of Marie Antoinette. They described seeing buildings and landscapes that no longer existed and feeling an oppressive atmosphere, a shift in reality as they knew it. Skeptics chalk it up to a shared illusion, an echo of expectation and overactive imaginations. But for the women involved, the experience was as real as it gets. A visceral plunge into a time slip that they could neither explain nor deny. Then there are the oddities that archaeologists sometimes unearth. Objects that seem out of place in time. The so-called OOPArts, out-of-place artifacts. Metal spheres with 3 parallel grooves etched around the equator, found in 2.8 billion-year-old mineral deposits in South Africa. A 300 million year old iron pot allegedly discovered inside coal. The Antikythera mechanism, an ancient Greek device so complex that it's considered the first analog computer, dated to over 2,000 years old. Mainstream science often has rational explanations for these finds, yet they've become totems of possibility, for those who dream of prehistoric civilizations and anachronistic travelers. There are also modern accounts, whispers of people who claim to have blinked across the temporal divide. Urban legends like the man from Taured, a story of a business traveler who arrived at a Tokyo airport with a passport from a country that didn't exist. When he was taken to a hotel for the night, under guard, he disappeared without a trace, as if slipping back into his own timeline. While these tales are often lacking in verifiable evidence, they persist in the annals of urban myth, tantalizing hints at a world where the timeline is not as rigid as it appears. And let's not forget the more scientifically grounded anomalies that poke at our understanding of time. Pilots and sailors speak of the oddities within the Bermuda Triangle, where compasses spin and time seems to stretch and compress. If you're interested in the Bermuda Triangle, I suggest you go back to last week's show and give it a listen. A lot of good stuff there. Though many of these stories have logical explanations, from magnetic anomalies to human error, they contribute to the narrative that time may not always follow the rules we expect. Even in the realm of physics, there are strange occurrences that defy simple explanation. The concept of quantum entanglement, where particles seem to communicate instantaneously over vast distances, suggests that information is traveling in a way that could be outside of our standard model of time. While this doesn't directly imply time travel, it points to a universe that's far stranger and more interconnected than we might imagine. To add to the intrigue, consider the tales of individuals who've experienced precognition, detailed visions of future events that later come true. While skeptics point to the law of large numbers or selective memory, those who have lived through these experiences often describe them as too specific and too accurate to dismiss. Could these be glimpses through a crack in time's facade, a fleeting look at what's to come? As our journey through the enigma of time travel unfolds, we venture into the vast terrain of its implications and the ethical quandaries it presents. If the ability to traverse the temporal plane were ever to leap from the theoretical to the tangible, it would unravel a skein of moral, philosophical, and existential threads that humanity would need to address. Let's indulge in a thought experiment. Say we unlock the secret to stepping through time. Instantly, every facet of society is up for re-examination. The justice system, history, politics, personal relationships. Everything is vulnerable to the whims of the time traveler. Could we, should we, prevent atrocities and alter the course of human suffering? Each act of temporal intervention would carry ripples of change, both profound and unpredictable, far beyond the initial splash. Consider the justice system. If time travel to the past is possible, it raises the prospect of retroactive crime prevention. But with it comes the daunting prospect of punishing individuals for crimes they have yet to commit, as seen in the works of fiction like Minority Report. Would we then be sentencing people based on intention rather than action? And how would we navigate the perilous waters of free will versus determinism? In the political arena, time travel introduces a power that could be used to rewrite laws, reshape nations, and even erase entire movements from existence. The temptation to use time travel for national advantage might be irresistible, leading to a temporal arms race where history becomes a battleground. The ethical dilemma of who gets to decide the correct course of history could paralyze our moral compass. If we pivot to personal relationships, the implications become even more intimate. Imagine revisiting key moments in your life, altering the outcome of relationships, or avoiding regret. While at first glance this might seem beneficial, it fundamentally alters our concept of growth and development. The fabric of our identities is woven through those experiences, including our mistakes and misfortunes. If these threads are pulled and resewn at will, what becomes of authenticity and the intrinsic value of lived experience? These potentialities are not just puzzles for ethicists, but would be real-world dilemmas demanding a framework of laws and regulations. Time travel governance would become a field in itself, with international treatises and bodies established to monitor and control the use of time travel technology. The mere existence of such oversight implies a level of surveillance and intrusion that could make Orwell's Big Brother seem quaint. And beyond human-centric concerns, there's the environmental and universal impact to consider. If one could travel back and prevent an ecological disaster, the benefits seem clear. But what of the unforeseen consequences? Could intervening in the past create a new disaster in another time? The natural world has its own complex, interdependent systems, which could be thrown into chaos by well-meaning temporal meddlers. At the heart of all these considerations is the question of destiny. Do we have a fixed path, or are we the authors of our narrative? Time travel puts a pen in our hands, but it also confronts us with the potential of endless rewrites. Is there a point at which we accept the story as it is, flaws and all? As we draw closer to the end of tonight's voyage beyond the dark, let's reflect on the cultural fascination with time travel, a testament to humanity's enduring quest to understand our place in the timeline. Throughout history, the idea of time travel has captivated the human imagination like few other concepts. It's a theme that's been explored in countless ways across literature, cinema, and television. From H.G. Wells' The Time Machine to the adventures of Doctor Who, from the high school escapades in Back to the Future to the mind-bending narratives of Dark, time travel remains an evergreen fixture in the world of storytelling. Each depiction reflects the era's hopes, fears, and prevailing philosophies, showcasing our collective desire to rewind life's tape or sneak a peek at future frames. This cultural obsession isn't merely about the allure of the past or the unknown horizon of tomorrow. It's a canvas where we paint our deepest existential inquiries. Through the lens of time travel, creators probe themes of regret, loss, love, and redemption. It's the ultimate narrative tool, enabling characters to confront their past selves, right wrongs, or experience the bittersweet nature of impermanence. But it's not just in fiction that we grapple with the flow of time. Look at our traditions and rituals. We commemorate historical events with anniversaries, reenactments, and holidays, each a form of temporal reverence, an acknowledgement that, though the past is gone, it shapes us still. We are a species that builds museums and archives, desperate to hold on to the fleeting moments that define us, preserving them against the relentless tide of time. Then there are the cultural differences in perceiving time. Some societies view it as a linear path, while others see it as cyclical. In Western cultures, time is often portrayed as a river, flowing in one direction, carrying us inevitably toward our futures. Contrast this with Eastern philosophies where time can be envisioned as a wheel, constantly turning, where lives are intertwined through cycles of rebirth and karma. These interpretations of time influence everything from our day-to-day lives to the narratives we create about time travel. In popular culture, time travel also serves as a vehicle to address contemporary issues. Time-traveling stories can be political allegories, social commentaries, or moral fables. They allow audiences to confront present-day dilemmas through the distancing lens of sci-fi and fantasy. When characters in these narratives grapple with altering history or their destinies, they mirror our own struggles with agency and the consequences of our actions. Our fascination also extends to the very medium of radio, where I'm speaking to you now. Time travel here is metaphorical. We revisit the golden age of radio, relive historical broadcasts, or listen to music that transports us back to another era. This medium itself bends time, creating a bridge between the now and the then. And let's not forget the digital world. With the advent of the internet, we've created a kind of time machine at our fingertips. We can instantly access the past through videos, photographs, and texts, preserving moments indefinitely, creating a digital form of immortality. We share throwbacks, celebrate anniversaries, and in doing so, we're continually engaging in a dialogue with time. In conclusion, the human obsession with time travel is a mirror reflecting our deepest yearnings and anxieties. It's about control and the lack of it, about understanding our existence within the confines of time, and perhaps it's about the simple human need to believe in the possibility of change, of second chances, and new beginnings. As we ponder these narratives, they shape our culture, philosophy, and personal outlook on life's fleeting nature. And there you have it, fellow explorers of the unknown. We've journeyed through the twists and turns of time travel and temporal anomalies. What do you think? Is time travel a possibility waiting on the horizon? Or is it just a fantasy that fuels our dreams? Whatever the case may be, it's a conversation that's timeless. Until next time, keep your eyes to the skies and your minds open. This is Jay Rockwell in another installment of Beyond the Dark. Remember, the past is history, the future is a mystery, but today is a gift. That's why we call it the present. And that concludes our segment of time travel and temporal anomalies. I hope you all enjoyed it. I think I did. Seems to be another brain buster, but at least for me, and it might be because like I'm a big time travel freak. I wouldn't say big into like I do studies and stuff, but it's just something that even since I've been a kid, I've always been interested in it. So I'm able to wrap my head around that more than the parallel universes and multiverse theory. So I hope you guys were able to follow along. I'm gonna shoot you the trivia question for tonight's show. No response for last week, so hopefully this week we have a participant. And last week killed me because I think there were 2 answers in chat during the premiere, and I even said just email me, and I didn't get an email. I'm a sad panda. Tonight's trivia question is: in the early 20th century, 2 women claim to have experienced a time slip during a visit to the Palace of Versailles, where they reportedly encountered figures from the past, including Marie Antoinette. This incident is named after their surnames, but can you tell us the year this eerie event was said to have taken place? I will repeat the question. In the early 20th century, 2 women claim to have experienced a time slip during a visit to the Palace of Versailles, where they reportedly encountered figures from the past, including Marie Antoinette. This incident is named after their surnames, but can you tell us the year this eerie event was said to have taken place? If you know the answer, please email me at beyondthedarkradio@outlook.com. Do not answer me in the chat if you are here during the premiere. Do not leave a comment. Email me, pretty please, beyondthedarkradio@outlook.com. Folks, we're going to go on a music break, and when we come back, it's short story segment time. I got a new story for you called Moonlit Shadows. We have no BTD book club today. I promise we will have BTD book club next week. If I don't get one from Kim, I will go ahead and spin one up. I should have this week because we should rotate. I shouldn't put it all on Kim. So if you enjoyed that last week, I apologize. But hey, if you need a book recommended, I'm currently over halfway through Blood Moon by Hale Lindsey, and it is a work of fiction, but loosely based off of nonfiction, and I'm enjoying it. So hey, maybe go and give that a peek. Alright guys, shout outs to Mixkit.co, who provide all the sounds and music that you hear right here on Beyond the Dark. If you want your music promoted, if you want a push, if you want people to hear your sounds, please by all means send me something to beyondthedarkradio@outlook.com. That's beyondthedarkradio@outlook.com. Check you guys out in just a moment.
Welcome back to Beyond the Dark with Jay Rockwell.
Hey there, neighbors. Here I am, and we're going to go ahead and start our short story segment. We have a new story for you called Moonlit Shadows. The last story that we finished was Harvest Moon, and it was a hefty 10 chapters, so I promise not to do that to you again. Unless it's really good, and I mean, I'm not trying to down my own work, but that was my first short story. So yeah, take it easy on me. Could have ended at chapter 5 if I'm being honest. But as always, look down below in the description if you want to follow along and read along, or if you want to see the images that go along with these 2 chapters for Moonlit Shadows. They are hosted on ArcticTavern.com. Okay, here we go. Moonlit Shadows, Chapter 1. The First Blood. Derryville had always been the kind of town where nothing exciting ever happened. It nestled comfortably amidst the rolling hills of Maine, a place where neighbors knew each other by name and nothing ever seemed out of place. But all that was about to change. It started on a dreary autumn evening, just as the sun dipped below the horizon. The air was heavy with the scent of damp leaves and the promise of rain. Mrs. Johnson, a sweet elderly woman known for her love of gardening, was found brutally murdered in her quaint cottage on Elm Street. The news spread like wildfire through the tight-knit community, setting off a chain reaction of fear and unease. The townspeople gathered at the local diner, whispers of disbelief and horror hanging in the air like a noose. Sheriff Henderson, a grizzled veteran of the force, stood at the center of attention, his face etched with worry. He did his best to calm the anxious crowd, assuring them that they were doing everything they could to catch the killer. But among the shaken faces there was one that stood out. The face of a young boy named Timmy. His wide, curious eyes scanned the room, absorbing every detail. At 12 years old, he possessed a vivid imagination that often carried him into the realms of the unknown. And now, with the first taste of fear on his tongue, his mind began to spin a tale of its own. Timmy had always been fascinated by monsters and legends, his bookshelves overflowing with stories of creatures that went bump in the night. As the whispers of the maniac echoed through the diner, he couldn't help but wonder if there was something more sinister lurking in the shadows. While the townspeople dismissed the idea of supernatural creatures, Timmy's mind roamed through the darkest corners of his imagination. He had read about werewolves, creatures cursed by the full moon to transform into bloodthirsty beasts. And now, the thought of a werewolf prowling the streets of Derryville took hold of his young, impressionable mind. As the days passed and the fear tightened its grip on the town, Timmy delved deeper into his theory. He scoured books at the library, searching for any clue that could confirm his suspicions. His best friend Charlie watched with a mix of concern and skepticism, torn between loyalty and doubt. One night, as the full moon cast an eerie glow over the town, Timmy convinced Charlie to join him on a daring adventure. Armed with flashlights and a sense of youthful bravery, they ventured into the dense woods that bordered Derryville. Their hearts pounded in their chests as the rustling leaves and distant hoots of owls amplified the tension in the air. It was there, deep in the heart of the forest, that they caught a glimpse of something extraordinary. A shadowy figure, towering and covered in matted fur, slipped between the trees with an unnatural grace. The boys froze, their eyes wide with terror and awe. They watched as the creature vanished into the night, leaving them with a haunting memory they could never forget. With their belief in the werewolf now solidified, Timmy and Charlie returned to the town, their minds ablaze with a newfound sense of purpose. But as they shared their encounter with the townspeople, their tales were met with skepticism and dismissive laughter. The idea of a werewolf roaming their peaceful streets seemed preposterous to the adults who had always believed they were safe. Undeterred, Timmy refused to let go of his conviction. He knew that the townspeople needed to be protected, that they had to be made aware of the lurking danger. With Charlie by his side, he vowed to uncover the truth behind the sadistic murders that had plagued their once tranquil town. Chapter 2. The Hunt Begins. The moon hung full and bright in the ink-black sky, casting an ethereal glow over the streets of Derryville. Timmy and Charlie stood on the outskirts of town, their breath visible in the crisp autumn air. They were about to embark on their first official hunt for the creature that had terrorized their community. Armed with determination and a borrowed camera, the boys set out into the night, their footsteps muffled by fallen leaves. Timmy's heart pounded in his chest, the anticipation of uncovering the truth mixing with a nagging fear that threatened to consume him. He knew deep down that the danger they faced was real, and it fueled his resolve. Their path led them to the outskirts of the dense woods where Timmy had caught sight of the creature before. The eerie silence seemed to envelop them as they ventured deeper into the shadows. Branches cracked underfoot, and the wind whispered secrets through the trees, heightening their senses. With each step, Timmy's imagination conjured images of the creature, a hulking, hairy beast with sharp claws and glowing amber eyes. His grip on the camera tightened, ready to capture proof of the supernatural in its most terrifying form. Hours passed as they combed the area, their search guided only by the faint light of the moon. They peered into the darkness, their senses honed for any sign of movement or an otherworldly presence. But as the night wore on, doubt began to gnaw at their determination. What if it had all been a figment of Timmy's overactive imagination? Just as the boys were about to call it quits and head home, a rustling in the underbrush jolted them from their thoughts. Their hearts raced in unison as they turned their gazes toward the sound. Through the gloom, a pair of piercing yellow eyes met their gaze. The creature emerged slowly, its silhouette outlined by the faint moonlight. Towering above them, its fur bristled and matted, it exuded an aura of primal power. Timmy's breath caught in his throat, his mind a whirlwind of fear and awe. This was no ordinary beast. It was the embodiment of his worst nightmares. With trembling hands, Timmy raised the camera, his fingers fumbling to capture the creature's image. But in a flash of movement, the creature lunged toward them. Charlie yelped in terror as they stumbled backward, narrowly avoiding its outstretched claws. They sprinted through the woods, their hearts pounding in their chests, the creature's haunting growls echoing behind them. Branches whipped at their faces, and the ground seemed to shift beneath their frantic steps. Fear fueled their flight as they raced toward the safety of town, desperate to escape the clutches of the monster that now pursued them. Finally, they burst out of the woods, gasping for breath, and stumbled onto the familiar streets of Derryville. They dared not look back, their minds reeling from the encounter. They knew now that their suspicions had been more than mere fantasies. They were facing a real and tangible threat. As Timmy and Charlie caught their breath, their faces pale and eyes wide, they knew that their hunt had only just begun. The creature was real, and it had shown its true nature. It was up to them to uncover its secrets and put an end to the reign of terror that had enveloped their once idyllic town. That concludes chapters 1 and 2 of Moonlit Shadows. I hope you guys enjoyed that. It definitely has a Silver Bullet vibe, and that's where I got it from. So if you were thinking, wow, this sounds like Silver Bullet, yeah, you got it. You hit the nail on the head. We're going to go ahead and wrap up here. I forgot to mention, I am looking for advertisements. I'm looking to push your product. If you have an Etsy page or an eBay store or a website, anything that you want to get out there for free, please hit me up at beyondthedarkradio@outlook.com. I am looking to put about 2 to 3 advertisements per show. One in the beginning, one in the middle, one at the end. I think sounds fair, not too spammy. But I'm looking to network and get your product out there. So please get a hold of me if you have one. Remember, folks, please send all your stories, experiences, encounters, and questions to my email at beyondthedarkradio@outlook.com. I probably say my email 15 million times every show, so you guys have got to know it by now. Also, remember not next month, this month. We're already 18 days away. Can you believe it? Phantom Frequencies Volume 2 coming November 30th. Mark it on your calendars. Also, remember, we have the Facebook community page and we have the Discord if you want to be a part of the community. Not a requirement, but there are just some extras out there. Lastly, I want to thank my coffee supporters because I start my day every day with the freshest cup of coffee thanks to you, Michelle, Afros Animation, and Sky Eyes. I hope everyone enjoyed tonight's show. If you did, please hit that like button, please hit the subscribe button, and please turn your notifications on so that you can get pinged whenever I make a post or go live. These are important things, folks. Important things. We do daily streams, and then we do our weekly podcast. Trust me, it's a fun time. This community is amazing. I love all you guys. My shout outs to my moderators that I don't give them enough credit, okay? I'm talking Sanguine Lynx and Rev Kim Love. Those ladies are everything for this channel, okay? I'm just the face. Not even. I'm the voice, okay? But they are the action behind the curtains. They make it happen. So thank you, girls. We're going to go ahead and get out of here. Shoutouts to Mixkit.co for providing all the sounds and music that you hear right here on Beyond the Dark. Go ahead and get you some royalty-free music. This is Jay Rockwell, and this has been another great installment of Beyond the Dark, and I hope to see you all next Monday at 10 p.m. Eastern. Have a great night. Take care, y'all. Peace.